What's up, YouTube? This is a quick tap in, right? So essentially, you're either going to create or you're going to consume, right? So if you find yourself consuming, then you are not creating. Creating consists of just pretty much projecting inwardly, outwardly. Whereas though a lot of times if you're just consuming, you're just intaking everything that's external and pushing it inward, where it does not work that way, right? And it's good to consume occasionally for motivation purposes. Um, like some conscious influence. You need some influence, some inspiration. You need a little bit of a push, and that's cool, right? But when you're finding yourself constantly just consuming, comparing yourself, contrasting yourself, you are in a bad state, all right? And I say that because I know, especially the times we live in, people seem to compare themselves to social media, to influencers, to things that, to be honest with you, right? And I'm not saying this to be a hater or anything. I'm saying this because this is the truth. You're comparing yourself to something that doesn't even exist. You're comparing yourself to something that's fake, right? So you have to create, and you say, well, I'm not an artist. I'm not. Honestly, well, I'll even argue that you are an artist, right? We all have it within us. We all have some type of creativity. We all have something to give, something to produce. You see, that's what it is. You aren't producing your light. You aren't giving what you have to give. You're only just taking in what others give. And 9 times out of 10, or we'll just say a good amount of time, people are usually pushing out things just for their benefit. You get what I'm saying? People aren't always pushing out consciousness. They aren't always pushing out enlightenment. They aren't always pushing out things to uplift you. Usually it's just drama, it's nonsense, because that's the stuff that clicks. So until you get to the point where you can filter out the good and the bad, right? You can consume consciously. You can take what you need to take from this person and implement it in your life, so you can start living better and doing better, then you can start picking yourself up. Otherwise, if that isn't the case, then you have it all wrong. You have it twisted and turned. So my whole thing would be just, like I said, it would be just consuming less, right? But when you do consume, consciously consume. Become as aware as possible of what it is you're consuming, right? If you're watching nonsense all day, every day, it's just not going to work. It's not going to be beneficial at all, right? So, like I said, just pretty much creating, right? And it gets to the point where you realize it doesn't have to be perfect, whatever you create, right? But if you create one thing, if you start here, all right, and then you do another thing, you'll build off that first thing. You'll say, well, that first thing I did was kind of, that was kind of tacky, but I mean, it was in a moment, it was pure, but I can do better. So the next time you do better, and before you know it, you're just creating. All right, so yeah, this video is a bit different. This is pretty much just a live solo web talk. I really want people to get in the space of just creating and building with other creators, so you can have people who are consciously, picking you up when you fall down, right? Because some of us, well, all of us, we need that. We all need it, and you can find it hard. It can be hard to keep yourself motivated or where you need to be, and you don't have to do it alone. The path does get lonely, so to say. There are parts of the journey where it's just you, right? But essentially, when there is times when you have other people around, you want to do your best to make sure that they are for you, that they you want to do your best to be sure that they have your best interests, and that they can keep you up, keep you motivated, and not take from you. right? They can pour into you as you pour into them. So this is just like a quick reminder to stay on it, to create. This is a daily affirmation right here. This is a message, right, that you need to listen to, you need to hear. A reminder to create, right, and have fun with the creation. I know me personally, right, and it's easy to get caught up in a trap of, that what you create become like it almost become like a obligation or a prison. All right, so I would say avoid that at all costs. Just pretty much go with the flow. What feels the most natural? What is going to get you to the next step that you need to be? All right, where you are right now may not be where you totally want to be. All right, but what is the next best thing you can do to get you to get you closer to where you much rather be? Right, so that right there is it. That's being diligent, persevering through the ups and the downs, and just pretty much staying on it. So that'd definitely be the thing right there, I'll say, because it's so easy to get caught up in consuming. It's easy, right? It's easy to get caught up in just consuming. So my message would definitely be, like I said, just create, and a lot of times, if you feel as though you can't create or you don't know what to create, that's because you might be in a space where you consume way too much. All right, let me fix this, smooth this out a bit more. But it is fine. So you might have had consumed way too much. So now you don't even know your own. You aren't aware of your own arsenal. Your own creative abilities. All right, so you may need to take some time step back, and just operate from your own space. Just give it some time, give it a week, a few days, maybe a month, who knows. Give it some time to get all of that pollution out of your system, so you can get to the point where you start gradually doing what's more true and authentic to you. Right, and this advice is universal. This is the same thing that I will apply to myself, that I do apply to myself. All right, so pretty much doing what's best for you and stepping into the state of creation. If one thing don't work, do the next. Don't feel as though you have to have it all figured out. Don't come from a place of wanting to be just straight perfect off the rip. Wanting to be perfect from day one. That's like quite literally impossible. And if there is someone out there who's done that, then actually I doubt it. Because if someone does something and they execute it perfectly, I'm almost guaranteed they had the proper planning. They executed off prior knowledge and discipline and focus. So I would say just step into the space of creating, quit consuming, and when you are consuming, you consume consciously. I'm watching this, I'm listening to this to work on my subconscious. I'm doing this to focus on myself. I'm doing this to help me block out the noise or blase. So you want to be aware of what it is you're consuming. All right, don't just consume to just consume. Don't be strolling on Instagram to just stroll. All right, so that'd be it. Like and subscribe. This video is a bit different. This is very different, but once again, this is a form of creating. I'm putting stuff out there, content out there, regardless whether they do well or poorly. And I'm sure there will be a time where people spin back and watch this, and it will touch someone. Even if it touched one person, hey, mission complete. So like and subscribe.